Hello, hello, hello. I'm sorry I'm late. It's only my third day and I'm already late. Uh, panic. Panic sets in. Hello. Hello. Hi. Hello. Ugh. Sorry, I'm running a little bit late today. I took some sleeping medication last night. Medication. It was ZQuil. It's not. It's over the counter. Like, they took NyQuil and they took all of the like relief allergy cold relief stuff out of it and just made sleep juice. So I took some sleep juice last night, and I have a little bit of a hard time getting up. But also, I was just catching up on a whole lot. Like a whole lot has gone on since the stream last night, with FTFE and Planar Walk. So I was catching up a little bit on that. Both like people DMing me and like a lot of conversation and comments and stuff and things flying around. So I was just trying to catch up a little bit. Well, oh, congratulations, by the way, everybody. We are at 4,000. I really never thought we would get here. I did read your post, Beeline. Yeah, nice display picture. Chesh drug addict confirmed. Yeah, yeah. It's interesting to see some of like people's perspectives on what's gone on since like I don't know, like 2020, everything like 2019 onward has been like crazy. The internet is a mistake. Anyway, thanks for joining me on my YouTube channel on the internet, which is a mistake. I've got an egg. Not to show off to my American viewers, but I have egg. Let me mute this. So, I'm just getting some food in my face. But yeah, we're ready to start on the Oracle of Delphi or Delphi or I don't know how to pronounce words. I can't read. You studying to be a witch or a ghostbuster? I'm studying to for the memes mostly. I am trying to collect all of the free courses and certificates that Harvard offers. And I'm gonna put them to see if I can print them off and put them all in a binder. So I can collect them like they're Pokemon badges and Pokemon cards. Nom nom. Nom. Egg. Brain food? I don't know. Okay. I'm sorry, I really needed to eat something. Sorry, I assumed you didn't want to hear me chew. Okay. I will double check the microphone though, make sure it's alright. Yeah, it's not super loud. I can probably turn myself up a little bit. Is that better? Is that more your speed? Guys hear me okay? Eggs are a reasonable price now. You can stop rubbing it in our faces. Oh, are they? Are they reasonable now? That's good. Harvard Goblin Scout badges. Yeah. That's you got it. We're here for the memes. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about what's gone on with yesterday's stream, and like some court stuff and details. So if you have any questions about that stuff, I'll open the floor on Monday. So people can just like swing by and ask questions and all that good shit. So if people want to know about anything or confront me about anything or ask me about anything, I'll make sure that's available for people. So if they want. Hello. Do I still stream with Manya? Yes. Most Fridays. Dumbfuck Friday is back, so Manya will be back regularly, but that is not this Friday because this Friday is the Volcano Show. So one Friday a month is the Volcano Show, and Science Side Up is going to be with us. Maddie is going to be with us tonight, but the next Friday will be Manya. And then the Friday after that will be Manya, and then maybe the Friday after that will be Manya, or it'll be the Volcano Show. Then the Friday after that will be Manya or the Volcano Show. Then it'll be Manya again. Also, Manya comes on the last Saturday of every month when we do our politics and news, world politics and news show, which is on this month will be the 27th. So not this Saturday, next Saturday. So if you want Manya, feel free. Also, if you do have questions for Mani about what's going on with Steve, I'm not going to speak for her about that and about her experience, but she has talked about it on her own channel. She's got a couple of videos where she sort of explained the situation. But if you do want her to come on and talk about it, and if you want to like Q&A with her a little bit, I don't want to speak for her. I don't know if she'd be willing to do that, but I might be able to twist her rubber arm and ask her to come on. She won't be able to answer me until later tonight. Mania is in Australia right now, so she is 12 hours opposite of me the next day. So for her right now it is 2:30 a.m. So she's I also think her internet is out right now. So she'll get back to me later, but I can ask her if you guys want that. Maybe next. So we have some stuff planned for the next Dumbfuck Friday. So maybe the Dumbfuck Friday after that, or we can just loop it in and we can kind of like we can just chat about it. Steve, yeah, Steve's insane. Steve has lost his damn mind. He lost his mind a while ago, but we'll talk about this more on Monday. We can chat about it today. We're here for edumacation. We're here to become the worst version of ourselves. Because that's all this is going to do to me. I don't know if it's going to make you better people. If you guys do want to follow along or do the course yourselves, you absolutely can. The link is in the description down below. And no, I am not sponsored. I'm not here to tell you guys to go get free stuff. But I am going through free stuff that you can get for yourself. Apparently this course is available. Their plan for this course's availability is until December 2030. So, you know, there's not like an urgency to this by any means. There is no Mania, only Zool. Yeah, so if you guys do want to know about what's gone on with Steve and stuff, that when Monday, this time, 2:15 is my normal start time. So that'll be same bat time, same bat place. 2:15 Eastern on Monday. That's when we do our chill hangout streams. So we just do like a chill, relaxed chat about whatever's gone on and stuff like that. So you don't have to wait for the next waxing gibbon to do this course. No, you do not, interestingly enough. You could if you wanted to. I don't know if that would make the results of your maybe like you should plan when you do the assignments and exams around when the moon is waxing or waning. No problem, Joey. Yeah, swing by whenever. We'll talk about things more on Monday. And if you feel free to like ask questions now or message them to me on Blue Sky, or like just tag me on Blue Sky if you have stuff that you guys want to know, or things like if you're not going to be able to make it to the live but you want me to cover something, you can just let me know and I'll try to remember to get to it. Okay. Are we ready? Should we get into this? We are on the Oracle of Delphi. Oh, also, if you don't want all of the me chatting in between when we're covering this, and you just want like the straight up course stuff, I'm going to be taking this and condensing it into like just going through the course with a little bit less of my commentary and still as much as my bad reading skills. Reading out loud is hard. Okay? It's hard. It's harder than you think. But that'll be put both here and it'll be on Debate Hub. So if you're interested in more the educational side of things and you don't want my blathering in between stuff, go check out Debate Hub. Definitely recommend it. That channel is almost monetized. All right. The Oracle of Delphi. Let's get started. Travel to Delphi or Delphi, I don't know. Possibly find a priest to ask the oracle or the priest, ? Your question. Sample equipment, none. Personnel. The Oracle of Delphi, a middle-aged woman from a nearby area. Hey, congratulations, this is the first one that's had women involved. So far, there's either been explicitly only men or no mention of women whatsoever. So this is the first one we've got that there's a girl. I should probably make a note. There we go. New notes. Oh, and for anybody who's curious or is interested, the program that I'm using for this is called Obsidian, and it is a free program, and it kind of works like an advanced notebook. So like OneNote. So if you're interested, you can download that for free. Just Google search obsidian and it'll come up. Particularly when you have suspected dyslexia. Listen, okay, yeah, you're probably right. Like, you're probably correct. I've never been diagnosed with anything, but I've also never been checked. So, you know. I'm making a note that this is the first woman we've come across. And it looks like this is using natural phenomenon. So that would make it, what are they? That would make it random human. And maybe a little bit deterministic if it's using the moon. It's definitely human. And random. Okay. Oracle of Delphi, a middle-aged woman from a nearby area, possibly along with a priest who might need to ask the oracle questions and interpret answers on behalf of the petitioner if they do not ask on their own. Oh, bizarre. The ancient Greeks thought that Delphi, located in the modern-day southwest of Greece at the base of Mount Vesuvius, Parnassus. What am I doing? Parnassus was Pharnessus? How did I get Vesuvius? My brain is not. I'm not awake yet. Can you tell? At the center of the world, indeed, the Greeks called it the Omphalos, which means navel. Apollo's temple, adorned with his famous maxims, e.g. know thyself, stood in Delphi from approximately the 7th century BCE until 390 CE. 7th century BCE till 390 CE. Listen, stop bullying me. You're right, okay? I give up. You're right. You're right. Okay? You're right. Don't bully me. Apollo was purported to speak to those who sought him out through a mouthpiece. The Oracle of Delphi, also known as the Pythia, or the Sibyl. The Oracle was a middle-aged woman chosen from Delphi or a nearby area. She is described as wearing the clothes of a younger woman and sitting on a 3-legged tripod. Once a month, men lined up to ask the Oracle a question. Before a petitioner could ask a question, he had to first cleanse himself by bathing and then sacrificing a goat to Apollo. Many details about the Oracle of Delphi are still unknown, including specifics of the Oracle's process for divining an answer. There is speculation that the Oracle's trance was a result of intoxication, possibly caused by natural gases that were present in Delphi. Although this contradicts some accounts which describe oracles as calm. Additionally, I mean, sometimes different drugs have different effects on people, so maybe sometimes the oracle would be somebody who was affected differently by the intoxication? I don't know. Additionally, some accounts describe the oracle as giving her responses as poetic riddles, though there is no official written record of the oracle's predictions. There is also unresolved questions about whether or not questions were asked directly to the oracle, or if some questions were relayed from the petitioner to the oracle through a priest. In any case, this was clearly a very human-influenced way of seeking guidance. Okay, so it doesn't really use random at all. It just uses... Stop that. It just uses random. Or sorry, it just uses human influence. Timeline. And we keep the timeline because the timeline seems like it's useful information. Prognostication by an oracle at Delphi appears to have begun around 800 BCE and lasted until 395 CE, when the Roman Emperor Theodosius First officially ordered the oracle silent and had the temple destroyed as part of a campaign against non-Christian religions. Hey, remember that thing where Christians like to claim that they're the ones persecuted all the time, and sometimes they're the ones doing the persecuting? Meet the expert Emma Dench. Hey, okay, so this is also going to be the second woman that we run into in the series as the expert. The first woman who came by was trying to sell us on astrology, so, you know, not a good showing, but hey, let's see how this lady does. Professor Emma Dench is the McLean Professor of Ancient and Modern History and of the Classics at Harvard University. She is the author of Romulus Asylum, Roman Identities from the Age of Alexander to the Age of Hadrian. Here's the name of the book if you want to go look it up for yourself at your local bookstore or library, because fuck Amazon. Professor Dench has been awarded the Harvard College Professorship, an award given for excellence in undergraduate teaching, mentoring, and advising. All right, are you guys ready for the video? I'm not. I didn't set this up. I didn't set this up ahead of time. Like a fool. I'm a fool.
The Oracle of Apollo at Delphi was the most famous place where you could consult the gods in the ancient Greek world. The oracle was in the Temple of Apollo at Delphi in central Greece. Delphi was thought to be the central point of the Greek world, and the Greeks called it the omphalos, or navel. Apollo was able...
I do not think I pronounced omphalos correctly. In my defense, omphalos.
...to answer questions 1 day a month, 9 months of the year. He got the winters off. Only men could ask questions of the oracle. The men had to purify themselves by washing before entering the sanctuary, and then they had to sacrifice a goat to Apollo. The goat needed to quiver to show that the god was ready to answer the question. The inquirers then had to line up in a pre-established order of precedence according to where they came from. Those from Delphi and the immediate neighbourhood were first in the line. Apollo's mouthpiece was a priestess chosen from the village of Delphi and known as the...
That's a really cool painting. I kind of wish I knew a little bit more about this painting and where it came from.
...the Pythia. She was said to be an ordinary middle-aged woman dressed in the clothes of a virgin, so the clothes of a much younger, unmarried woman. At the beginning of the day, she washed in the Castalian spring to purify herself before sitting on a 3-legged tripod inside the Temple of Apollo. She entered a trance-like state. There's been a lot of modern speculation on whether she was high on fumes or drugs, but it's actually unlikely that her trance was chemically induced. The most reliable ancient accounts suggest she was calm rather than ranting and raving. We think that the questioner also entered the Temple of Apollo, although he may have stood in a separate room. The question was typically framed as either, should I do X, or is it better to do A or B?
One thing that I find interesting about a lot of these things is, like, the study of history and, like, the study of, like, human cultures throughout history of who did write stuff down and who didn't write stuff down makes me, like, get a giggle about how much everybody just puts every single shit thought they have on the internet now. And so there's, like, archives and archives and archives and thousands and thousands and thousands of fucking, like, just different people from different, like, I'm just fucking 200, 300 years from now being like, what were people thinking in, like, 2020? And, like, just going through some random schmuck's Twitter account. Like, but it wouldn't be a Twitter account anymore. It would, because it would all be, like, in condensed, like, super simple text formats. So, like, we know way too, like, one of those things that's, like, useful, too, about having, like, a leader is, like, you don't necessarily know what they're thinking or how they're thinking. They're kind of, like, You know, somebody who's like a little bit out of reach, kind of like really rich people. They're like they live in another world and they're out of reach, so they're kind of like mystified, and so people think like better of them a lot of the time. And then we invented Twitter, and now everybody knows that everybody else is just a shitty human doing shitty human things.
The question might be about something quite personal, like going on a journey, or getting married, or having children. Or it might be a matter of state, like going to war, founding a city, or endorsing the decision of the political assembly. The Pythia would then give her reply, probably in simple spoken form, although there are also lots of ancient accounts of giving her responses in complicated, riddling hexameter verse. The fame of the Oracle of Delphi means there are many legendary or apocryphal stories of responses, including notorious riddles that were misinterpreted by their hearers. One example is of Croesus, the 6th century BCE king of Lydia, who was told that if he made war on the Persians, he would destroy a great kingdom. He thought that that meant that he would destroy the Persian kingdom, but of course it turned out to be that his own kingdom of Lydia was destroyed when he was defeated by the Persian king Cyrus.
I don't mean to be a dick, but if you're an oracle and you know that that's what it says and you know what it means, and then you tell somebody something that vague, you're doing it on purpose and you're the problem. You're not helping anybody. Although, admittedly, it is one of my favorite things. I love that kind of shit. That's like, I'm that kind of asshole. That's the kind of shit, that's the kind of advice I would give. If anybody made me an oracle, that's the kind of shit I would be doing.
Although this example is apocryphal, it illustrates the importance not just of the oracular response, but of the questioner himself, and sometimes his whole family or community, having to work out what the oracle means.
Oracles have got to be some of the worst ways to tell the future. Like, it's just somebody she said exactly what she meant. It's on him for misinterpreting it. Yeah, I mean, yes, but also maybe. Okay, archaeological site of Delphi. I gotta fix this. Boop. Boop. There we go. So here's the archaeological site. The Pan-Hellenistic sanctuary of Delphi, where the Oracle of Apollo spoke, was the site of the Ophalios, is that what she called it? The navel of the world, blending harmoniously with the superb landscape. I almost said suburb. It's worse when I'm tired. I don't know if you guys noticed yesterday, if you guys watched the stream yesterday, I hadn't slept for probably upwards of 24. I didn't sleep from the day before, so I probably woke up sometime around like 11, 10. And then I was awake the whole day, and then I finally slept. Here's the link. I just don't think I looked as tired as I was, which is, you know, unusual. Delphi in the 6th century BC was indeed the religious center and symbol of unity in the Greek and ancient world. So if you want more information, you want the follow-up, we're not gonna go through this. This is the location. Can I find this on a map? Maybe. Like, if I were to open Google Maps, do you guys think I could find this? I'm not gonna do it right now. The Mystic of the Delphic Oracle from National Geographic. Ooh. This is from 16 years ago. Archaeologists try to uncover the truth behind a Greek prophecy.
The story goes, Oedipus first learned his fate. The Oracle of Delphi, speaking for the god Apollo, told him he would kill his father and marry his mother. As many of us learn in school, despite all his efforts, Oedipus was unable to escape his disastrous destiny in maybe the most famous of Greek tragedies.
Now, I mean, is it a tragedy? I mean, is that, just, killing your dad and fucking your mom? Like, there's worse things. You know what I mean? Like, there's, I guess, you know. This is my Oedipus did nothing wrong stream.
In antiquity, just like today, people had a lot of uncertainties in life, and they presumed that the gods knew more than they did. And in particular, they thought Apollo knew a lot. So they would travel here basically to ask Apollo for advice or to ask him questions and hope that he'd give an answer.
What is it about Apollo that made people think he was smart? Out of curiosity. Like, I don't know the answer to that. Apollo is the guy who raises the sun in the morning, right? That's Apollo? Like, what about Apollo is I mean, I can understand why people don't, like, want to ask Zeus questions. Like, or maybe, like, Ares. Ares is kind of a dick. I mean, Athena is, I guess, kind of aggressive, but she's, like, smart. And, like, Aphrodite is pretty smart. Hades is usually pretty chill. Zeus and, like, Poseidon, you don't want to fucking ask questions to, because you're just asking for trouble. But, like, is there something about Apollo in particular that made people think that he was this guy to go ask questions to?
If Apollo was a musician, then his priestess, the Pythia, was his instrument. Ancient records tell of mystical, sweet-smelling vapors rising
Phrasing!
from the earth, putting the Pythia under Apollo's spell. But while the reciting of prophecies is historical fact, questions about those vapors remain.
Green area on the geological map is between...
Archaeologist John Hale believes the answers lie deep underground. Analysis of the bedrock beneath the temple also shows the existence of petrochemicals, including...
Oh, is Apollo the god of truth? Oh, that would make sense. That would make sense.
ethylene. Ethylene has been used as an anesthetic in modern days, but when administered in experimental small doses, induced a trance-like state.
And the trance state had a lot of similarities with the description of the Pythia there in the temple at Delphi.
Scholars...
You know what's kind of interesting about this is the scholar we just listened to said it's probably unlikely that she was intoxicated. It doesn't really match up with what we get. But National Geographic is out here being like, aliens!
think water running underground could have carried gases up through the fault lines, directly to the priestess.
You always know that they're definitely telling you what the scientific consensus is of professionals in the field when they cite scholars think that this could have. We're not going to tell you which scholars, and we're not going to tell you, like, how likely it is. I love when National Geographic and, like Discovery and, like, the History Channel all do that shit. It's so funny to me.
The ancients believed ordinary people could meet the gods at Delphi, a point of contact between man and mystery. In a way, they were right. Modern science suggests that here, the supernatural was in fact simply natural.
I'm not saying it was ethylene, but it was definitely ethylene. Yeah. So yeah, go ahead and watch that one if you're interested. Let's move on to our next thingy-majiggery. What's our next one? Next! Yeah, don't worry about my real name being on there. I didn't want to put Chesh on my certificate. Roman augury. Very cool. Is the next one. Did they show the face you can put money in to have a combo with the gods? No, they haven't talked about that one yet. No. Okay. How to seek prediction. Entreat an augur with access to birds, or you may need to also find a special bird. Equipment, birds. Birds. You may, possibly equipment to measure / observe their behavior like a wooden frame. Personnel, an augur trained to interpret the behavior of birds. Ancient Roman divination was tied to the concept of auspices. which literally means looking for fortune signs in birds in Latin. An individual who looks for these signs is called an augur. Indeed, the founding myth of Rome involves Romulus and Remus performing bird augury to decide that Rome should be built on Palatine Hill. Notably, however, like most things in Roman religion, the concept of auspices appeared to be borrowed from other religions, specifically the ancient Greece. The ancient Greeks! Fuck me, guys. I'm having a day. Auspices were taken before any major undertaking, private or public, began in ancient Rome. The birds apparently made random flight patterns. Okay, so we're under hashtag random. Hashtag random so lol. Flight patterns and noises, and whether or not they fed when offered food were all interpretable by the human augurs. And auspices. The signs they relayed by the augurs. Sorry, not there. There's no they. There's the word they is not even in. Oh. Thank you for sharing this experience with me. Why do I feel like I'm having an absolute brain meltdown? What is going on? Good God. Oh, I am not okay. Shakes bird nest, looks inside. All signs point to birds. Bird is the word. Do you think this is where bird is the word comes from? Not to be confused with a drill used to drill holes in the ice for ice fishing. It's okay. Shh. It's okay, birds. Oh, no. Note, sensors on Imperial spaceships in Warhammer 40k are called augurs. Cool. Maybe just don't do this then. No, listen. Not just because not every day goes perfectly means you just give up. What do you mean? Sometimes learning is hard, and sometimes your brain fails at it, and that's okay. It's alright. It's alright to not do sometimes. It's okay to make mistakes and struggle for a minute, and then, like, it's okay. That's alright. Roman's whole thing with birds leads to some of my favorite stupid anecdotes from the ancient world because I'm a nerd. Hell yeah, you should tell us what your favorite ones are. Okay, the signs, where was I? The signs relayed by the augurs were often vague, and in most explanations, behind the vague predictions were simply that it was the will of the gods. You know, I kind of appreciate that. I would rather somebody just say, nah, God did it, than try to, like, hamstring some other crazy nonsense into things. Just be like, oh, no, the flood was all done through miracle, but also is it was all, you can measure it all by nature. And it's like, maybe God just did it. It's like, Noah's boat wouldn't work. No, here's mathematically why we are pretending Noah's boat would work. And it's just like, why wouldn't it? Like, God did it. Just God did it. It's fine. Just let it be that God did it. God protected the boat so the fucking wood didn't bend and the boat was bigger on the inside. 'Cause God did it. The end. In modern Italian, the word augury, wishing good luck to someone, derived from augurs. Oh, really? That's so interesting. History is so cool. Culture's so neat. Thank you for sharing. As a result, at least in the case of public auspices, the Roman Senate debated the meaning of the auspices before coming to an actionable decision. So, okay, so that's interesting too. That kind of harkens back to, what was the other, not the Mayan, the Ifa. Because the Ifa one we looked at was like a meditation and a conversation overseen by elders. And it looks like Roman augury also had people in positions of power and education debating on the meaning. So they're like, it kind of changes what kind of outcome you're gonna get. Membership in the priesthood of augurs was prestigious until 300 BC. Oh my god. Oh, you guys couldn't see that. Haha, lucky me. You didn't see anything. Membership of the priesthood of augurs was prestigious until... I almost said pretentious. Until 300 BC, membership of the priesthood of augurs was restricted to only members of the partition ruling class, the lex Augulina allowed for plebeians, commoners. That's a word I do know. You'll never guess why I know that word. Fucking plebeians. To become augurs. Note that augurs often held other posts outside of the priesthood. For example, Sirio, the famous orator and senator, was also appointed an augur later in his political career. Oh, cool. Interesting. Timeline. Roman bird augury has evidence dating back to around 600 BCE, and it remained popular until approximately 100 CE. Meet the expert. Hey, it's Emma again. Professor Emma Dench is the McLean Professor of Ancient and Modern History and of the Classics at Harvard University. She is the author of Romulus, Asylum, Roman Identities of the Age of Alexander and the Age of Hadrian. Professor Dench has been awarded the Harvard College Professorship. This is what we read before about her, so, you know, take that with whatever. And we're gonna take a listen and see what she has to say. Cicero.
Senior political officials of the Roman state had to take auspices before any major political event, like elections, and before a battle. They would draw on the expertise of an augur from the College of Augurs. Membership of the College of Augurs was for life, with new members elected periodically. Two of the main kinds of auspices that were deliberately taken involved birds. One type involved watching for the flights of specific kinds of birds, eagles, vultures, buzzards, or woodpeckers, or listening for the cries of birds, crows, owls, and eagles. You had to work out whether the birds were good or bad, and this was determined partially by where they appeared in the sky in relation to a grid that crisscrossed where the viewer stood. The height at which they...
Bad. Just assume that the birds are always bad. I would always assume that the birds are bad. Imagine getting a degree in watching bird flight patterns. I mean, there are people like right now. You can be somebody who studies birds. Like that's a field of study. I mean, maybe you're not making predictions about the future, but I mean, bird watching is also a really popular hobby in some places.
Flew, and the speed and noise of their wing movements. The other main method of bird divination involved observing whether or not the sacred chickens ate the food that was given to them.
You sold me on sacred chickens. All right, you don't have to sell me anymore. I'm into this. I'm gonna start bird watching specifically for this purpose. I'm a fan of sacred chicken. Also, just before Feline runs off, we will next week be trying to start this earlier in the day. So the Goblin Goes to Harvard is going to start, instead of starting at 2, I'm going to trying to start earlier in the day. So first we're just going to trying to start at 12, and I'm going to probably try to move it to 11 a.m. Eastern time. So these will be a little bit earlier in the day. So we can go a little, because I want to still end at around the same time, but I want to have more time. So look out for us earlier in the day.
You had to take auspices at night, and they were valid only for the day to come. So if the activity you were taking auspices for was continued or delayed, you had to repeat them. Even though you were only looking for a yes or no on the timing of the event, the law was complicated and open to interpretation and to challenges. Even if the day had been cleared for the activity, other officers of state could claim to see spontaneous signs from the gods that meant that the event had to be cancelled.
That sounds like a political nightmare. That sounds like an absolute political nightmare. I like pain. Nothing but pain. Cause like, I'm just like, this is the kind of stuff that people write stories about now. Like they're like, you know, historical romances or like historical fiction where it'd be like, oh yeah, no, there's this whole big political thing going on and we have to host this thing that's gonna tell us what the gods say, and then the mailroom is like, nah fam, no, you can't do it, and then there's like a contention between the two political factions being like, no, I gotta do it, no, you can't do it, my thing said this. Oh my god. It is just rife for like meaningless conflict of interests. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. So, if anybody knows of like a historical fiction, political / romance book that's like cheesy enough, that is like about something like this, please recommend me the book. I want to read it. That sounds wonderful. Yes, no questions. Okay, malevolent gods and Promethean birds. The abstract. The well-known mythological basis for augury, by which I mean, in this paper, the specialist consultation of various antics. Antics of birds in flight. That makes me happy. They use the word antics. I don't know why that makes me happy, but I'm very happy about that. Is that there exists a positive interaction between gods and birds, whereby beneficent gods send reliable signs to expert mortals by means of certain birds, which act as the gods' messengers. The aim of this paper will be to demonstrate that Augustan writers, Levi, Virgil, and Ovid, engaged in a lively debate about the hallowed mythological underpinning of augury, a debate which is all the more surprising and potentially contentious in light of the emperor's own promotion of this most ancient religious institution. So this is actually, that's actually way more interesting to me than I think it should be, but there's the link if you want to check it out later, because I'm not going to read through this guy's whole paper right now, but that's pretty cool. And then overview of augury, including a description of the 5 types of augury signs. And it's, is this fucking Wikipedia? Is this definitely not Wikipedia? What is this? Why does this look like Wikipedia, but also, like, have a different symbol on it? I'm pretty sure this is just Wikipedia. What if I go here? What is this? Maybe it just looks like Wikipedia. I don't know. novaroma.org. It just has the same fucking layout. Cool. Anyway, here you go. Here's the link if you guys want to go through and check that out. We are going to move on to the next one. Again, I will point out it might seem like we're going through these pretty quickly, but this is just the table of contents that we're reading through right now. So, like, we got a lot to do. We got a lot to cover. It's Wikipedia for Roman nerds. Romapedia. We will invalidate the election results because I saw a pigeon. Yes, it is. It does seem like that. Zombies of Byzantium was a fun read. Not a lot of romance, though. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Well, if the birds didn't eat and just throw them over the side of the ship, then they lose the battle like they predicted. Yeah, fair enough, I guess. The Zombies of Byzantium? Byzantium? Alright, hold on. I'm making a note of that so I can check it out. I just like cheesy nonsense. That's what I like. I'm all about that. Cheesy nonsense. Alright. Hey, we're on tarot. Let's fucking go. I've always thought reading tarot cards would be fun. I feel like I should learn how to read tarot cards one day. Just because I think it would just be a fun party trick. Not because I think it's, like, real. But I think it'd be fun. Alright, how to seek prediction. Anyone can consult an expert. Common in almost all European and American cities. Equipment, tarot cards with an exclamation mark. Why is there an exclamation mark? It's a specialized expert reader of tarot cards. The tarot card is a card oracle. Sorry, the tarot is a card oracle. I just read that completely backwards. Most often consisting of a deck of 56 minor arcana and 22 major arcana, or trumps. Oh, we need to stop calling them that. The minor arcana have numbered cards and face cards arranged in suits, much like modern playing cards. Major arcana have evocative names like the Fool, Death, and the Wheel of Fortune. Oracular readings. Ocular. That's eyes. That's seeing things. Good fucking God. What is wrong with me today? I'm getting through things quickly, but I'm also just flubbing up everything. Oracular readings are made by drawing one or more cards, often placing them in a particular pattern and interpreting their symbolic meaning in relationship to the querent. While the tarot is not the only card oracle, it is by far the most common, and the term cartomancy often refers to the use of the tarot for divination. The cards that evolved into modern tarot were originally created as a set of playing cards, much like the simpler decks used in poker and bridge. They were in use from the mid-15th century through to the late 18th century, when they began to be used for cartomancy. Cartomancy. Yeesh. Early tarot decks were hand-printed. Some tarot readers continue this practice today, but most decks are now mass-produced. Modern tarot deck, I feel like if you wanted to be like a legit tarot reader, like if you wanted to be like, I'm a professional, this is my job, this is what I do, I feel like you should have to paint your own cards. And like, I feel like your cards should not even be like on anything flexible. They should be on like wood that you've like primed and sanded and then painted and then put your energy, blood, sweat, and tears into, because that, like, you can understand that deck because it's yours and it's like your soul and spirit went into making these cards, so you can interpret what they have to say. But then again, I would also be like, I did these, I made these, I can interpret what they have to say. We have a bond and a connection, and they're just as much of a shitter as I am, and they have just as much information as I do. So if you're asking them about your dumb shit, what do I know about your dumb shit? I know just about as much as these cards do. Yeah, my brain is going into too much fantasy overdrive. Modern tarot decks come in a variety of styles. Most are similar to the Rider-Waite deck, created and published by A.E. Waite. Rider-Waite deck? Yeah, A.E. Waite and William Rider in 1910, with illustrations by Pamela Smith. They draw on medieval and Renaissance European symbolism to hide meaning within the illustrations. Other decks incorporate a broad range of influences, ranging from the Kabbalah to Zen Buddhism to modern internet culture. Oh my god, please tell me there's like a Pepe tarot deck, because there must be, right? I want one that is all made out of different memes, like Ugandan knuckles, and like memes throughout the ages, and like the popular ones, like Someone Touch My Spaghetti? No, not good enough. Ugandan knuckles? Top tier. Differing decks often have different orders for their major arcana, different names for their suits, examples coins of pentacles? Coins instead of pentacles, or even different symbology and interpretations for the same card. As the demonstration video here shows, a tarot reading is a personal experience, relying heavily on interpretation by the diviner, or the reader. Shuffling a tarot deck is similar to shaking up dice before you roll them, in that it presumably randomizes the outcome, And even given the seemingly deterministic systems prescribed for laying out the randomized cards, it's important to remind ourselves that that interpreting the cards laid out still relies heavily on the conversation between the human querent and diviner, much in the same ways that systems like Ifa and Turkish coffee divination do. So we're using... It's randomness, but it's randomized and deterministic, but it's within like a human decided set, and then it's human interpreted. The use of tarot in divination ceremonies is still common today. Most small cities will have at least one fortune teller who uses tarot to advise querents about their day-to-day lives and major decisions. Yeah, I don't know if there's one. There must be one in the city I live in. Guys, in the city you live in, is there a tarot reader or a fortune teller? Or is there more than one? Also, I do remember there being one in a city I used to live in, but it was a hippy-dippy town. So, I mean, you know, but I don't know of one here. I'm sure there is one, but I'm not familiar with them. The use of tarot in blah, 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 blah. Large cities will have several. Many of these fortune tellers combine cartomancy with scrying and crystal ball gazing and other methods. Timeline. Tarot have been practiced since around 1600 CE and continue to be a popular form of divination. I will point out that I forgot to put the music on. I forgot to put our chill music on. I will point out that I don't... I forget what I was gonna say. I forget. I lost it while I was typing. I got distracted. Oh, boy. Oh, man. There's a lot in Dublin. At least one in the middle of nowhere town that you live in. I want to look up a Marvel-themed tarot deck. Yeah, do it. There's definitely Marvel-themed tarot decks. That definitely exists. For sure, for sure, for sure. Oh, I haven't pulled it up yet, but I do have a goal counter, so we can fill up our goal to try to get to the point where I can get the certificate, but I'll start that next week. Let's put the music on, because I forgot about it. Do 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 do. Here it is. Whoa! Why are you so loud? There we go. And I will link you guys to the playlist that I'm using, so if you are interested, you can have it. So far, it does seem to be copyright free. I haven't gotten many copyright issues coming through from YouTube's system, so it seems to be a relatively approved one. So, okay, meet the expert, Dr. Colin Fredericks. The Diviner's Guide expert on tarot is Dr. Colin Fredericks. Dr. Fredericks is a senior project lead at Harvard X, where he helped design and produce many of the Harvard X courses, including PredictionX, Super Earths in Life, and Energy Within Environmental Constraints. Colin is a man of eclectic hobbies, including tarot, and he also designs role-playing games in his spare time. Oh, very cool. Below you can see both a short summary video of tarot and also a longer in-depth video. Additionally, there is a special segment with artist James Leonard below Colin's video, and the video is about James's tent of causally observed phenologies and how to use tarot to help connect people to climate change. Fucking what? Huh? Man, we found some crazy shit in here. Oh, thanks, RNGD. Hell yeah. Let's go. Alright, we're gonna pause this and open the video. The garbage man is here.
We've talked some about the meaning of the cards, but now I want to show you how they're used for fortune telling. I'm going to shuffle the deck, and then I'm going to lay them out in one of the most common patterns, the Celtic cross. Normally we would be doing a reading for a specific person. In this case, I don't have someone to do a reading for, so I'm just going to talk about what the cards would mean in different positions. The first card is intended to represent the person who is asking the question, the querent. This card is laid in the center, upright or reversed, however it's drawn from the deck. And then another card is played across that. This card represents the problems that the person is facing. In this case, our first card was the Three of Swords, which you can tell is somewhat a bleak card to begin with, and then has been crossed with the Tower. And the Tower, as we mentioned before, is quite a difficult card. You can see that it's a bit of chaos, either upright or reversed. To the left of these cards, we place one that represents the path.
I'm not gonna lie, this guy absolutely looks like the kind of guy who makes and designs fucking tabletop games in his free time. Like, this guy looks like this is like an eclectic kind of dude, you know what I mean? He's got a vibe.
Of the person in question. And to the right, we place a card that represents their future. Above, we place a card that represents the conscious goals of our querent. Below, we place one that represents their subconscious goals. You can see a lot of duality here. The self and the conflict, the before and the after, the conscious and the subconscious. After that, 4 cards are stacked from bottom to top on the right-hand side. The first one represents advice that should be given to the querent.
For anybody who doesn't know, the querent is the person asking the question.
The second one is about external influences, which could be positive or negative. Card number 9, second to last, represents the hopes and fears of the querent. This is one card where it's especially important to look at both the regular meaning and the reversed meaning. Finally, our last card, card number 10, is about the outcome that is likely to occur. This outcome card can also be read both reversed and upright. You can think of it as, if you take the advice, this will happen. If you don't take the advice, that will happen. This requires a lot of work between the fortune teller and the querent. You need to understand the meaning of the cards, but you also need to understand where that person is when they're asking the question. You can't just do a reading blank for someone. You need to know a little bit.
Yeah, you need all the cold reading stuff. You need the context for the cards to make sense, and you have to rely on the querent, which is why most people think that tarot reading is bullshit, because it's like, well, what do we even need these cards for? I mean, using them as a tool to engage conversation and convince somebody to, like, open up to you is, like, sure, a reasonable thing. Like, psychologists will use tools and games and tactics to try to get their clients to open up if they're particularly closed off, but, like, it's still not like, there's no magic involved.
Bit about them. So that's one of the most important things to know about all of this. You can't automatically generate this. Just because someone takes the advice that was prescribed for them doesn't mean that they are going to be free with their money or that they're going to be covetous of it. You need to understand where that person is in their life and what the appropriate advice to give is based on that card. You can't just read it straight and hope that it works. This is common across a lot of fortune-telling systems, including Ifa in the Yoruba tradition. You really need a connection with a human being. So this is the Celtic Cross. It's not the only spread that you'll see. People will arrange cards in different ways, especially with different decks, but it is the most common. And if you go to a fortune teller, you might see them use this spread.
That's cool. I find information like that interesting. After watching the overview of tarot in this video, check out Professor Goodman's interview with James Leonard, an artist who created the tent of casually observed phenologies, where he uses tarot to help individuals better understand the relation to climate change. We've got to watch that, right? Like, we have to watch this, don't we? Oh, boo, boo. Oh man, I thought that was gonna be really cool. I was so oh. The swastika fell out of favor for reasons. Yeah, go figure. It kind of sucks when one group of people just ruins something for everybody across the entire fucking planet. I'm sad now. That's unfortunate. No, we can't watch that. It's not available. But we get Tarot in depth, so we'll watch this one.
Hi, my name is Colin Fredericks. I'm a senior project lead here at HarvardX, where I help professors make courses, including PredictionX. And today I'm going to talk to you about tarot cards. It's a little bit unusual for someone with my background to be talking to you about something like tarot cards. I was trained as a physicist. I did physics education research.
I bet you I could have guessed this guy was a physicist. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He's the, yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. This is, yeah.
Learning how to teach people physics more effectively. I got into tarot when I was in high school. I got my first pack then, and I think it was just because I was interested in it and it looked cool and it had a lot of really interesting pictures and symbology. And then my friends said, look, he's got a tarot deck. Let's get him some more. And so I ended up with a bunch more. Some I bought myself, some were presents from other people. So,
yo, that is a thing that happens to be, oh, you got dice? Oh, now I will be your present. Every gift you're ever given is now that thing.
So I'm going to be telling you a little bit about tarot today and its connection to the other topics in this course.
Yeah, he's somebody who was trained in physics and whose job it is to help teach people physics, not be a physicist.
So the decks that we have today, there's a whole bunch of them here. These are almost all what are called Rider-Waite decks.
This guy's such a nerd.
With one exception.
I love him.
Rider-Waite tarot is sort of the standard one that you'll see in a lot of different places. If you look on, say, Wikipedia for images of tarot cards, all of the images that you'll find there are drawn from the Rider-Waite deck. Tarot decks were actually not intended as fortune-telling devices originally. They were just another playing card deck, one with a different set of suits and a different set of cards, but still used for playing card games like poker. They were created in the early 1900s, or at least the Rider-Waite.
Oh, yes, Michael. I would love to go and have a beer with this guy and just sit and chat about whatever. It wouldn't matter. I'd just let him talk and just like, yeah, what about this? He's just one of the, oh my god, this guy, he's absolutely one of these kind of, one of those kind of people. He's one of those kinds of people who, like, in general, normal social settings, probably has things to say, but is kind of quiet and gets ignored a lot. But if you, like, get him to sit down and talk to you and you get him talking, he's just gonna go and he's just got so much to say. He seems like one of those kinds of people. It's just reminded me of a red flag I should have taken notice of. Steve was doing something to do with maths and a PhD that teaches astrophysics, and his math was wrong, and Steve flipped out. Oh no.
Deck was. The symbology that's associated with the cards is something that was added later on. So we'll talk a little bit about that too, but it really does seem to resonate with the particular cards. Even though it's something that wasn't there originally, there is this connection between all of the different decks that you'll see. So I want to tell you a little bit about the individual decks that you'll see today. This first one is the Russian Tarot of St. Petersburg. I bought this one.
Bro, this video is 25 minutes long. Just to be clear, remember when I said, like, this guy, once you get him talking about a thing, he's gonna go? This is 25 minutes. He's gonna go through every single one of these decks, and you think he's gonna explain what the cards mean?
For myself, because of the art style, I'll just pull a random card here. This art was actually done at this size. That means that it wasn't done in a larger size and scaled down. And the detail on these is really phenomenal. You can see this tiny little work in this man's cloak. This deck was actually done.
I love listening to people who love the thing they're talking about.
At size with a brush that was sometimes just a single hair with a magnifying glass. It's a very standard deck. It has very Russian look to it. You can see the buildings in the background. You can see what the people are wearing. It's a very colorful deck. But in many ways, it's a standard Rider-Waite deck that just has a little bit of Russian flavor to it. So this, I don't really know what to call it, so I'm going to call it my small tarot deck. It's a little kit that I got at Barnes & Noble at one point. It has a little
Barnes
book.
& Noble!
Most of these have little instruction books that'll tell you what each of the cards are.
Oh, it was John! I haven't talked to John in ages. The only place I had access to talk to John was on Instagram, and I got rid of Instagram ages ago.
Means, and maybe give you a spread that you can use. I'll show a spread later on. And if I pull out some of the cards here, they're a bit of a different shape. They're much simpler. The symbology is right there on the surface because there are only a few elements that are visible on each card.
Oh, it's so cute. Jack says it's interesting how many physicists are also creative people. I think it's because, like, the difference between math and art is non-existent. You're actually doing a lot of the same thing. There's a lot of math and like in art, and there's a lot of art in math. It's just we as people put things into categories because it makes it easier for us to learn and interpret, but those lines aren't real. They're just imaginary lines that we draw around things to help us conceptualize them. Math and art are the same thing.
So you can see, for instance, the Queen of Swords. You can see the sword. You can see the spades that are all over her outfit. You can see that she's a queen with a crown, and then she has this bird that's clearly seeing a bunch of things there with its crown. And that's basically all that's going on the card. There may be a little bit of symbology with the color, but it's very simplified. So if you can remember what each of those things stands for, then you'll be able to tell somebody's fortune with this much more easily. This is the Chesh.
Low Energy Vid said, I've been told that it's a big turn on for a lot of women to listen to guys they are into talk about what they love. Quote, if he has this much passion for doing this, what else can he love so much? Yeah, there's something to be said about that. It's also like a form of confidence because you're allowing or you're listening to the person who is talking. When you're passionate about something and you know about something, there's going to be a degree of confidence in which just like a shine that you get when you're talking about something you love. So it's like there's and then they'll just go and they're just having a good time. I adore listening to people talk about the things that they care about and that they are interested in. It's just a wonderful experience.
Shadowscapes Tarot. This is made by an artist that I wanted to support. I thought that her work was really beautiful, and I saw her making it over the course of more than a year. Each card done one at a time and posted on her website. She works in watercolor. You can see
those
each
are
of the
gorgeous.
Cards here has a very distinctive look to it. Most tarot decks are done by a single artist, but here you can really see her particular style in this. She also has a lot more female figures than you'll see in most decks. Most decks tend to slant a lot more male. Hers has a more even balance between male and female.
Those are
one of the really
fucking beautiful. Can you tell us who the artist is? Where can I buy these? They're watercolor. I'm clicking it back. I want to see them. Like, look, these are... They almost... Oh, my God. This makes me want to try my own. These are gorgeous. Look at this. Wow. All right,
but here you can really see her particular style in this. She also has a lot more female figures than you'll see in most decks. Most decks tend to slant a lot more male. Hers has a more even balance between male and female. One of the really fascinating things about this deck is that the symbology is a little bit different sometimes. For instance, one of the best known tarot cards is the card of death, and it's usually symbolized by the Grim Reaper with a scythe or by a skull and a snake and things like that. In this deck, it's a phoenix, which really just captures beautifully the meaning of the card in a
Show me the card. I want to look at this person's work.
very non-traditional way. I'm going to get that out here.
Yes, he's pulling the card out. Bless this man. Yes. We've been blessed. My dad works in watercolor. It takes him 40 to 60 hours to finish a single piece. Yeah, yeah. Watercolor takes a lot of time because you have to, wait for it to dry.
So just for reference, just keep the ones that we can rephotograph.
One of the interesting things about this deck is that it has some very non-standard visual iconography. For instance, the card of death here. Mostly when you see the death card, it's Grim Reaper, or it's a skull and a snake, and things that are traditionally associated with death.
I appreciate it, but I need to...
Mostly...
I appreciate it, but I want to see. That's a person. Oh my god. There's a... So I don't know how well you guys can see it. You could this is the bird head, and then it's a woman's hair that is going forward, and then there's a woman here, and then it like her arm comes out here and spreads into this part of the wing, but then it also like comes and attaches near her hip, as well as like another wing that looks like it comes out of the bottom, and then like it turns into like this skirty looking thing. I think that's like grapes, and there's life sprouting and life decaying, and life sprouting out of decay on this side, and then there's like this orb. There's something going on inside of it. It's hard for me to tell. These almost look like shells swirling with like all the fiery nonsense, and it's got like this bright and then these purples. I'm betting. I don't know if those. I don't think those are grapes. I think that's something else. But I'm betting that each of these flowers hold, like, those look like orchids, but I'm not 100% sure. So I bet you the flowers that this artist chose are representative of something like hollyberry. These might be hollyberries, that are all like, that have like death symbols inside of them. Oh my god. Oh my god.
When you see the death card, it's Grim Reaper, or it's a skull and a snake, and things that are traditionally associated with death. But on this card, it's a phoenix. And I think that really captures some of the ideas behind the card in a much better way, even though it's not what you'd usually see.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
This is the Revelations Tarot.
I'm pissed that I don't know who this artist is now.
This is probably my personal favorite deck. What I really love about it is that each of the images can be read both upright and reversed. This is standard for all tarot decks. People will talk about having a card upright or reversed in any sort of reading. But in this deck, they actually went through the trouble of making two different images on each card. So you can see in the bottom of this card, it's reversed right now, the title is at the top. There's this swirling background that indicates chaos. There are these crossed bars here that are not well aligned, and somebody is trying to put something in there and it's not quite working, so the reversed meaning is negative. Whereas the upright version, we have all this pattern in the background. Somebody is inserting the rod in there in a way that it interlocks with the rest of the pieces, and they're standing more upright. It's definitely a more positive meaning, and it's easier to see that in this deck than with the others. I also just like it for the colors. I think it's really beautiful. This next one was a gift. This is the Science Tarot. It's a little bit odd. This is one of the less traditional decks that I have. What I really like about this deck is that it meshes together.
You can tell that one's his favorite. Look at it, how it's like slanted and bent. This is the deck he pulls out the most often.
The traditional tarot and stories and ideas in science in a way that's very harmonious. You don't feel like there's a conflict between the two ideas of science and the non-science that is the tarot. You really feel if you know the stories, it helps you understand the symbols on the cards more. A great example is this top card here, the High Priestess, which is also the benzene dream, which if you don't know the story of the benzene dream, it's one of the most fascinating things in chemistry and biology. We'll put a link to that on this page. But it really fits with the card of the High Priestess, which is all about knowledge coming from elsewhere, coming from outside you. And the story of the benzene dream is all about understanding how the molecule of benzene locks together literally in a dream. So it's a real neat combination. We'll see this again when we look at
This guy is such a
similarities
nerd!
Between cards of different decks. This is the least traditional of the decks that I have here today. This is the Osho Zen Tarot.
You can tell that this is like such a thing for him because everything is also still in its original packaging and it's still all got all the books and things that come with it. This fucker's probably still got the receipts.
This deck combines the ideas of the tarot with symbolism from Zen Buddhism. This makes it very different from your standard tarot deck. For instance, this is the Knight of Clouds. You can see that somebody in armor says fighting on it. It has a different set of suits, so you have clouds instead of the
His armor is rusted.
swords that are normally air-oriented. But you have somebody in armor here, and in a normal tarot deck, an armored warrior would be a sign of strength or honor or righteous battle. But in this case, this is clearly somebody who's fighting with themselves. There's this struggle going on in the background, looks very worn out and tired, and you can see the rust around all of the rivets here. So this armored warrior in this Zen-oriented deck is a very negative symbol. Again, you can sort of see my own personal preferences coming out in these because it's a very colorful deck, and I do like pretty pictures. Our last item for today is the Fantod pack. This isn't a tarot deck at all. This is part of sort of a larger category. The tarot deck is what you would call a card oracle. It's a way of telling the future using cards. Well, this is another card oracle, but it's a different one. You won't recognize any of the cards here from a standard tarot deck. It's not even that they've replaced them with...
Oh, I like this. These look like... this looks like almost video game-esque. Oh.
Different things. It's just a completely separate idea. But it is still designed for fortune telling. There are no spreads associated with this deck. Instead, if we look in the book, every single card has a particular set of associations with it. And so one would pull a single card or a few cards at a time and try to understand how those associations match up with what's going on for a particular person. The reason I wanted to bring so many different decks today is because each deck has its own way of showing a particular meaning, but the meanings are often very similar across the decks. Let's take a look at some specific,
There's a vibe.
specific cards. This is the first card in the tarot, the Fool. You can see it's number 0. Shows that on every different deck here, although in different places. We'll talk later about the Fool's journey, about how the major arcana, the named cards, all have a particular story that connects them together. But this is the first card of that story. You can see similarities in all these different versions of the Fool. In every case, there's some amount of danger present. Here there's a wolf. Here, he seems to be riding a giant cat, and that seems a little scary to me. For the student...
That might be a bit of a reach, but you're the professor here, not me.
From the Science Tarot, is about to step off a cliff. The same is true in the Zen deck, although he seems to really be throwing himself off the cliff there. For the Shadowscapes Tarot, she is right at the edge of the precipice, but the meaning is a little bit different. She seems to be more balanced and more poised, and if she falls off there, it's going to be a choice rather than an accident.
Yeah, she's... So, for anybody who's studied anatomy and positions, you can see, like, her body weight, if you draw the through line through, she is sort of, like, her hips are and shoulders are angled in a way that where she is leaning over but hasn't lost her balance.
And you can see in the Revelations tarot how the Fool at the top seems to be following this butterfly and not realizing the possibilities of what might happen if he does fall. There are other symbols that show up in all of them as well. The Fool is always distracted, here by his own hand puppet, here by a bird, by a book, by the flowers that he has in his hand, by the butterfly, by just looking over the edge. There's always a sense of a journey. The bag or the bindle stick are common pieces of iconography that are used for that. There's often a companion in some way. The fox in the Shadowscapes tarot, the birds here. Things can sometimes play different roles, so we don't know whether this cat is going to be an ally or an enemy. There are some things that you'll see repeated again and again, like the mountains in the background here. Those are more just to give the indication of that great height that the Fool might be falling off of, and don't necessarily have any specific meaning to them. You can see that they've been omitted here in the simpler deck. Let's take a look at a different set of cards.
Did you really need to leave that in the video?
Here we have a
edit
different
that.
card, the Two of Cups. The Fool is part of the Major Arcana, a set of named cards. These are numbered cards in a particular suit, the way you might find in, say, a poker deck. The Two of Cups shows two people, or sometimes two different things, as you see in the Science Tarot and the Zen Tarot. And it's usually about connection. We can see that in a couple of different ways. The people are often looking towards each other. You can see that on the smaller deck and on the Revelations Tarot, and on the Shadowscapes as well.
Oh, did you actually? Sorry, RNGD is saying that he thinks he found the artist. This is what came up in Google. Shadowscapes. Oh my god. So I don't know if this is actually the artist or not. But regardless, this is some pretty cool artwork. Because the Etsy store, yeah, that's the Shadowscapes Tarot. So yeah, this is probably the correct artist. So if you're interested, that's their website.
In the Russian tarot, the man is looking at the woman, but the woman is looking at the cups. And again, cups are a common symbol for this. So we see it here in the Russian deck. We see two of them on top of this vine in the smaller deck. Held between these people, held here, another one, because often the number of symbols corresponds to the number on the card. Now, the Zen card is perhaps the farthest away. It's a suit of water as opposed to the suit of cups, but they sort of do line up. Cups fill with water. And it's not two people, it's a pair of trees, but there's still this sense of mingling and sharing, and in fact the title of the card is Friendliness. Now, the Science Tarot is also very non-traditional here. It has a heart, which you can see in the smaller deck as well, and hidden here on the Shadowscapes Tarot. So the heart is a common symbol for cups because it corresponds to, in poker, the hearts suit. But what's really going on here in the Science Tarot is that this is about lichen. And that might seem a little bit weird if you don't know what lichen is. Lichen is a combination of algae and fungus. And so on the card here, we have algae in the top
and mushrooms on the bottom.
And between them, we have this heart-shaped symbol that is sort of the marriage of these two things.
That's crazy.
Two different organisms coming together to make a third one. Like I said, the Science Tarot really has some extra meaning to it when you know the science that helps you understand what's going on in the tarot deck. The Two of Cups can also be about duality, not just the sharing of two things, but that those two things are different to start with. So you can see these trees are different colors, the people here are different colors, male and female is a common duality for that. In the Science Tarot, we've got two different kingdoms of life. But when we reverse these, and this is easiest to see with the Revelations Tarot, now that duality is broken. Now the people who have come together don't trust each other anymore, and the cup is spilled. Again, this is why I like the Revelations Tarot. It's very easy to read the reversed versions. Now, there are some symbols that you'll see on a lot of the cards that aren't on all of the cards. For instance, we have plant life in almost all of them, but not so much in the Russian deck. The Russian deck also has this lion with eagle's wings, and we don't see that in any of the others. So it's not that you'll see the exact same things over and over again, and every deck has its own little shades of meaning. For this next piece, let's look at the story that accompanies the Major Arcana. The Major Arcana are the named cards of the tarot. They're not associated with a particular suit. They each have a particular number to them, because they do go in an order. We're going to talk about...
Yeah, of course he's using the Shadowscape fucking gorgeous-ass watercolor deck for the story portion. Oh, it's so pretty!
What that order means here. The Fool is the first card, in fact, the 0th card. And the Fool is sort of the main character for this story. And the Fool meets a magician. You can think of this as a lot of different fantasy stories where your hero meets a magician early on who sends them on a particular journey. And the next 4 cards are people who help them out in the early stages of that journey. They aren't always in the same order in every deck. But we have the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, and the Hierophant. 2 of these are more religious figures, the High Priestess and the Hierophant. 2 of them are more worldly or secular figures, the Empress and the Emperor. Each of them has their own particular meaning, but the idea is that the Fool meets them early on, and he or she gains something from meeting them, an understanding of the world. And that's carried on in this next row of cards. We have the Lovers, where the Fool gains a love interest. We have the Chariot, where the Fool needs to be rescued from something. We have Strength, where the Fool gains strength of their own or sees someone else wielding it. We have the Hermit, where the Fool meets someone who has been apart from the world for a long time.
You mean Gollum? Is it Gollum? Is that Gollum? I think that might be Gollum.
We have the Wheel of Fortune, where the Fool's fortune rises.
Is it Yoda? Is that Yoda? I think it might be Yoda. I like this is just the hero's journey. It's just the hero's journey. It's oh, people are all the same.
Falls as part of the story. We also have Justice, in which the Fool learns about the justice and injustice in the world.
We're all uniquely similar.
And the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man is associated with Odin in Norse mythology, who hung upside down from a tree and sacrificed his eye to gain knowledge. This is important because the next part of the Fool's journey takes them into the underworld. The Fool is the main character of our story. This is somebody who doesn't have a lot of knowledge about the world, who doesn't understand what's laying before them yet. They're often depicted as young and interested, certainly, but not wise yet. And the first person they meet is a wise magician who starts them on their journey. After gaining wisdom, the Fool meets Death. Death is a card that represents both physical death, but also a rebirth, which is why the phoenix is such an appropriate symbol for it here. This set of cards here, Death, Temperance, the Devil, and the Tower, represents the Fool's journey through the underworld. If you've ever heard of Joseph Campbell's The Hero with 1,000 Faces, that's part of the traditional hero's journey.
Oh, hey, it's that thing I said. See, I'm smart. I got brains. I got a 62 IQ. I can play. Come on.
That they must travel through hardship and sometimes the actual underworld itself in order to gain the knowledge and power that they will have in the future. So we have Death. We have Temperance, which is often represented as the judgment of the soul in the underworld. We have the Devil, who tempts the hero, but is also representative of the things that the hero may have missed in learning wisdom in the upper world. And then we have the Tower, a symbol of destruction. The Tower is often associated with the Tower of Babel from Christian mythology, which was destroyed by God because the people there showed great hubris. Our last set of cards starts with the Star, and this is what leads the hero out of the underworld and back into our world. You can think of this as being associated with the star that the wise men followed to Bethlehem. Then we have the moon and the sun, a pair of cards that are about the spiritual world and the physical world. And the sun is really the triumphant return of the hero, the fool, to the world of the living. So you can see that the moon has life in it, but it's a little bit more subdued, whereas in the sun, it's this riot of energy. And then we have two final cards, Judgment and the World. Judgment. Did the fool learn what they needed to learn throughout their story? Or did they miss it? And the world, a reconnection to...
It would be really fun to do all like, if you guys have ever watched Arcane, the League of Legends show. I mean, did the hero learn what they needed to learn by the end of their story? And all my immediately thought was like, Jace learned nothing and proceeded to do everything wrong anyway. He gets to see... sorry, no spoilers.
Life and to the world around them. In some decks, the Fool is not card 0, but card 22. You can see that the world is card 21. So the Fool is at both the beginning and the end of the journey. So that's the story of the Major Arcana. I hope you can see some connections between that and a lot of other stories in mythology. It really ties things together so that you can understand the Major Arcana better as a fortune teller. We've talked some about the meaning of the cards.
Yeah, I think I get it.
Now I want to show you how they're used for fortune telling. I'm going to shuffle the deck, and then I'm going to lay them out in one of the most common patterns, the Celtic cross.
Okay, we already watched this part, so that was the other video. So we're going to move on to the next one. The tent of casually observed phenologies.
Fantastic. All right, so here we are on this gorgeous day, James. I hope you appreciate the weather.
I do.
And so let's just start by you just introducing yourself, a little bit about your background and how you came to be here today.
My name is James Leonard, and I am an artist, and I live and work in Brooklyn, New York, but I'm back up here in the greater Boston area with my current artwork, The Tent of Casually Observed Phenologies, which is for lack of a perfect term, it's what I think people would call a performance installation. And this is a piece that was begun back in February of this year, 2015, when...
Man, art is weird sometimes.
I was an artist in residence at the Boston Center for the Arts for 4 months as part of their program of trying to encourage and foster the emergence of new artworks that are socially engaged artworks.
My original inspiration for this whole PredictionX course now was so that the public would really understand what's behind climate change simulations and that they would...
That feels like such a non sequitur. We're doing some art in Boston, so climate change. What?
Take seriously the work that's being done, and that they would think about their future much more reflectively, and that they wouldn't kind of dismiss these predictions as uncertain when they hear the word uncertainty. And then what resonated so much with me about your work and your project...
I had cards read once. I had my cards read once as an experiment. I did not react to her interpretation in any way, Stoneface. She was lost in the reading, showing that it was cold reading all along. Well, I mean, that's kind of what tarot is. Tarot, you have to be engaged, because the like the guy was explaining, that you can't read the cards. The cards don't have context until you give them context. So the person interpreting the cards for you can't do that without your participation, because it is a collective, it is a takes more than one person to tango scenario in the first place. Now, if that person was running around pretending they did magic and they're actually just cold reading, yeah, that person's a dick and they deserve it. But if you're just trying to like do it for funsies, don't be mean.
Is that you are also, I think, right, trying to get the public to think more about the future. And
Penn and Teller's bullshit was such a good series.
And divination traditions and climate change. And I'm just curious if you can tell us again a little bit more about how the creation of the tent and the research that you did for this project relates to the climate change issue.
The research for me has really been a process of discovery. And I'm coming at this very much as an
isn't that, like, definitively, like, definitionally what research is? Like, you might not be doing a new discovery, but it's new to you, right? Like, is that not what, like, you still watch it from time to time? It's been a really long time. I feel like I should watch it again. It's been a really long time. But, like, is research not you discovering things? Like, I feel like that's, like, definitionally what research is. Like, it has to be, right? Like, am I wrong? Am I crazy? Maybe I'm crazy.
Artist and a humanist, as opposed to a scientist or an engineer, and saying, "Aha, I'm very clear. I have a clear path." And I may be actually giving scientists, like, putting them too much on the, I don't know, on the peg, saying that you guys must know what you're after when you start, because maybe you guys begin with questions too. Maybe that's why it's called research overall. And
this guy's starting to piss me off.
For me, the first question that was while I was working on another piece of media that was, or another performance piece, where I was shaving a boat away into a sea of shavings, and this was in part a response to the Arctic melt of 2012, which was it's the largest on record that we've ever experienced, and trying to relate to my own sort of visceral emotions about that sense of the impermanence that showed, the massive scale of change. And it came to me sort of as a dreamlike image, this guy shaving a boat out from underneath himself. And so while I was working on that, I was realizing that I was working a lot in my relationship to the past and the present. And
I don't. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. He's not saying anything wrong. He's fine. It's fine.
Along the way, I was thinking about the future.
I'm okay.
And I think it started as a very cynical and naive moment where I said, well, if we're not going to listen to climate scientists, we might as well be listening to fortune tellers. And at that point, I had a very, very different relationship to divination than I do now. Fast forward a couple of years, and I've spent a lot of time actually working with diviners of a number of different traditions, doing artworks about impermanence, doing artworks about my relationship to try to understand divination. And this side journey has taken me into territory where I'm now rethinking a lot of my own original assumptions about divination as something that I know I held what feels to me sometimes in vernacular conversation with friends and colleagues seems to be sort of a stereotype of, well, divination is proto-science. It's science that isn't quite right yet. And when you actually get computers to tell you the answer and run simulations for you.
No! Oh, no, oh, God. So it seems to me what I've learned from this course is that it's not proto-science. It was science. It just didn't have a methodology that was able to course correct properly or interpret or they weren't necessarily measuring the right thing, or they were correlating one thing to something that it wasn't necessarily connected to. It was still science, it just wasn't the scientific method that we have now globally standardized, right? It's not even necessarily proto-science, it's just the scientific method. But also, like, you don't do science by just having computers running. That's not the thing that makes it different. If the thing that makes the scientific method that we use now different from divination of the past is that course-correcting nature, and is the things that we're measuring and how we're applying the knowledge we get to make sure that we're avoiding causality and avoiding misinterpreting things, and that things are repeatable and testable. Not that a computer did it. If ChatGPT did it, you may as well just be doing fucking divination at that point. Like, if you just have a computer running a simulation with no applicable anything, you are doing divination at that point. Because it's just giving you random nonsense. Like, what the fuck? Brother! No! I'm sorry.
You don't need it anymore. Or when you have an accurate scientific theory, you don't need it anymore. And instead, I've started seeing it as a cultural practice. Having now experienced it both as a diviner, I'm giving.
I think that there's still a place for having things like tarot reading in society. I think that's fine as long as you're applying it properly and not pretending you're doing magic when you're not doing magic. Because coming together and talking about your problems with a stranger, because you don't have to, like, you can trust them in a different way than you would necessarily a friend, and having the cards help you work through whatever that problem is simply just a tool that can be used properly to people. If you're pretending to speak to the fucking dead, I have a problem with you. But if you want to, like, throw some bones to be like, this is gonna help me think about what I'm doing, great, sure, fine. But, like, that it's not gonna replace science, and, like, science isn't gonna be crystal ball GPT. Yeah, I know exactly, the magic 8 ball or whatever. Because, like, there are methodologies that are useful and methodologies that are not. If you want to use astrology to, like, I don't know, help you conceptualize personality traits that you think could be problematic for you, to help you work on those personality traits that you don't like, fine, okay, do that, as long as you're not pretending it's fucking magic. Like, oh my god.
Readings inside of the tent about climate change, and experiencing numerous readings myself, receiving readings.
And that was part of your research process.
That was part of my research process, very much, to try out starting with the storefront fortune tellers and then going into more traditional religious and cultural spaces that took a long time to get into. They're fairly closed communities. A reading is made up of several things, several components. There's the diviner and the querent, which is the person who does the reading and the person who asks the question.
I don't know what about this I'm looking at that's making me uncomfortable, but it's making me uncomfortable.
And the reading itself begins usually with a question or a concern, something that has been brought. And then there's often a tool in between that will be your method of divination. Sometimes that's an internal method. In some cases, like the people who are members of the spiritualist church will conduct seances, and so their method of divination is happening from visions and things happening within their head.
We talk about that a lot in the course, about all the different kinds of processes that people use, and that some people use random processes in nature, some people take the more human, spiritual approach, and some people use some kind of official randomizing influence, like a tarot deck, or
like a tarot deck, or the I Ching, like flipping quarters to do the I Ching, or casting the yarrow sticks.
So did you try all of those?
I haven't tried all of them, and
it would take a really long time to try all of them, and, like, to try all of them in a meaningful way, to, like, actually be able to start to learn how to interpret. There's a lot of divination tools.
There's several hundred existing different methods of divination, some of which have been sort of lost to history, but there are echoes of them, there's lore of them, and I found that that's sort of a side interest that I've developed, is just sort of the flavor. There's something about it that very quickly, as I was just even exploring, like, say, the Wikipedia entry on all the methods of divination, it's so long, and half the time it reads like something from the 1960s conceptual performance art. Really? That for me, like, really, moved me, like divination by dripping wax, divination by the tracks of Beatles, divination by laughter. But the thing that all of these divination...
I hate artists. I don't mean that, I'm sorry. This is just a degree of, like,
experiences that I've had when they function well have had in common is that they create a space that does a couple of things. It creates a space that opens up the mind for decision making. It's not a substitute for free will. That's one of the first mistakes that I think a lot of modern people who are unexperienced in divination come
by that
to
you mean
with.
That it's not a way to see a preordained future.
It's also not a way to get a yes or no answer.
Right, and what I've experienced by being in your tent and talking with you is that there really is this aspect of getting people to think about their alternatives and about possible futures and about what they know about their own future. And you were telling me earlier that part of the role of the diviner is to get the querent to really talk and think openly, and to be in a space where they can really kind of have this experience where they're...
How much do you hate yourself as an artist? Yes. The answer is yes. I think that there are healthy ways to utilize these tools. I just think that there's a lot of grifty douchebags out there that the same thing with like religion. Having a community that gets together to help take care of each other and deal with their problems and with whatever aspect that brings them together is fine. Saying that therefore we all hate gay people is fucked, and give me money is fucked up.
Focused on their own future, and where they sort of can see the world around them, but not really. And I think that the space that you made definitely accomplishes that.
And this leads us to what the other main function that I've seen in any of the successful divinatory experiences that I've had is, which is we're all taking in so much information. By the time you're 35, 40, 50 years old, you have decades of life experience. If you're an active participant in the information age, you've read hundreds of thousands of words. You've experienced maybe hundreds of academic theses and takes on something if you're an expert in your field. And how do you put all those thoughts in order? But what ends up happening, and I believe we've used this term before, that divination can function almost like
I think that's a feasible question. How do you organize your thoughts and the information that you've accumulated over a long period of time? Like, yeah, sure.
As a comb for all of those thoughts, all that information that you've taken in. It's a way to sort of, if you think about the way a comb can move through hair and lay it into line and give it shape, it's a way to take these hundreds of thousands of different ideas and start finding the natural shape within it.
There's a story that David Carrasco...
People looking for patterns. It's people looking for patterns.
Who's an expert on Mesoamerican cultures, told us. I don't know whether we had heard this story already when I met you the first time, but he talks about the gods being annoyed with the humans, that the humans on Earth were learning too much about the future and about the world, and that they took a philosophical mirror, and that they breathed on the mirror to kind of fog up the view that the humans have, but that nature around the humans still has all these hints about the future and what's going on, and that a lot of the divinatory practices in Mesoamerica have a lot to do with nature and natural phenomena, and the idea is that they're trying to see past this fog. And it's the same kind of thing you're talking about the periphery, about that there's information there that people just don't normally access in their everyday lives, and they're sort of trying to find a way to access that information. Mm-hmm. And you might think that I, as a scientist, wouldn't want to think about the world that way, but I think that there are a lot of different ways to think about the world. And what you've taught me, really, in talking to you, is that, just like you said, that we were talking about climate change a minute ago, and you said, that you thought, well, we might as well just listen to fortune tellers. And when I started working on this course, I think that I was probably pretty biased against this kind of, just sort of human reflection, and what can you learn about the future from human reflection. And I've really come to see that, I don't think you can predict the climate 100 years from now by human reflection, but I think you can get people to think about their future and think about choices. And so I'm curious, just to come back for a minute to climate.
Okay, she's coming back to climate change. All right, sorry, we interrupted her right when she was going to get to exactly what you just asked.
You can predict the climate 100 years from now by human reflection, but I think you can get people to think about their future and think about choices. And so I'm curious, just to come back for a minute to climate change, how has the reaction been to this tent, and how do you feel you're doing in getting people to think about the future and their own futures with respect to the climate also?
Well, just 2 days ago, we were exhibiting the piece in the south end of Boston, and I was just finishing up a reading, and I overheard somebody outside who was. We have a little sign that sits out in front of the piece that lets people know sort of the general house rules,
A portable sacred place. Sacred? Really? You can have a sacred space that's portable? Like, does that... Hold on. Wait a second. This is Xanathar's Guide to Everything, alright? This is a Dungeons and Dragons book that's got spells in it. There are a lot of spells. This is the one that's got, like, different class features and, like, different new spells and da-da-da-da-da-da. The cleric spell list for this book is incredibly small. So, like, the bards get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 new spells. The druids get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 new cantrips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 new spells. By comparison, the clerics get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 new spells, and 2 of them are cantrips. However, the clerics get something called Temple of the Gods, a 7th level conjuration spell. And Temple of the Gods gives you casting time 1 hour, range 120 feet, duration 24 hours, and you have to have a holy symbol that's worth at least 5 gold pieces. You cause a temple to shimmer into existence on the ground you can see within range. The temple must fit within an occupied cube of space up to 120 feet on each side. The temple remains until the spell ends. It is dedicated to whatever god, pantheon, or philosophy is represented by the holy symbol used in the casting. You don't even have to use your own holy symbol. You make all directions about the temple's appearance. The interior is enclosed by a floor, walls, and roof, with one door granting access to the interior. As many windows as you wish. Only you and creatures you designate when you cast a spell can open or close the door. So it's kind of like the Magnificent Mansion, but it's for clerics. But the temple opposes types of creatures you choose whenever you cast the spell. You choose one of the following, blah, 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 blah. They have to make a charisma saving throw. Even if the creature can't enter the temple, the magic there hinders it. Blah, 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 blah. Finally, whenever any creature in the temple regains hit points, blah, 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 the temple is made from opaque magical force that extends into the ethereal plane and thus blocks any ethereal travel into the plane's interior. Nothing can physically pass through the temple's exterior, and it can't be dispelled by a dispel magic or an anti-magic field. Has no effect on it. A disintegrate spell destroys the temple instantly. Casting this spell in the same spot every day for a year makes this effect permanent. That is a portable sacred space. It also details that there's like at the end of opposite to the door at the end of the space, there's like a big fucking thing dedicated to the god that you fucking specified or that you used the holy symbol for. But like, are we really gonna call this tent a portable sacred space? Like, is that really what we're doing right now? I don't like it. I don't like that at all. Like, why would you, I don't like it. Alright, a portable I'm over it. I'll stop now. A portable sacred space for contemplating the impacts of climate change and correlated environmental crisis. The title comes from the devotional paintings pinned to the exterior. Each depicts different species observed by common folk to be something in its natural rhythms.
So please be respectful for
shifting,
engaged, and this is what we're doing.
Or phenology as climate changes.
This is what the piece is called, so it sort of helps.
Inside, I offer free climate change divination readings. Like, this not, like, I get it, I guess. Like, I get it. I don't, it seems counterintuitive, I guess, but, something being counterintuitive doesn't necessarily make it wrong. But, like, this seems...
put people in the right state and have some instruction for how to approach it. And there was somebody...
First come, first serve. If I am presently engaged, please be respectful. Each visitor will be received in order of arrival. Thank you for your cooperation.
Who just sort of out loud said, why would I talk to a diviner about climate change?
Okay.
And then somebody else said, well, why don't you go ask him and find out?
All right, that's a perfect way to put the question.
The short of it is this gentleman walked away not fully convinced that tarot doesn't work, but instead that it made him look at everything that he's already taken in himself about climate change. Some of the grim prophecies, some of the hopeful stuff, some of the stuff that says...
Why are you calling...
Don't look at it, ignore it. And juggle it just differently in his head for the afternoon. And
I don't like the idea that this guy just called climate science prophecies. Like, I'm not a fan. Although I would say that there are probably a lot of people who look at climate science predictions as if they are prophecies. And then people are like, oh, see, well, that didn't happen, and why aren't we scared about the hole in the ozone layer anymore? It's like, because we stopped participating in the thing that was making the hole in the ozone layer a problem, and it fixed itself. Like, what are you talking about? I don't like it.
And it got him thinking about it, and he even remarked that, sort of as he left, that while this is a great tool, whether he's going to use tarot or not, but like
it
just
is a good
even this
tool.
way of like looking at this problem to start digesting it, because I think that's one of the things that I find that why I want to make art about the problem is it's so huge, it's so overwhelming. I don't even know about my fellow man. Just for myself, how do I bite this off?
I know people who will be part of the course later who do the climate change simulations and who do climate policy research and all of this, and they also feel overwhelmed. And I actually think that that what you're doing is a very important complement to making people sort of take the perspective and look at the context of all of the different kinds of predictions about climate, most of which are not
How though? I need to give me a little bit more here.
good if we don't do anything, but that giving them a sense that there are choices and that they can think
Jack's films?
about the choices, and that maybe they can even learn something about the choices from these, somewhat time-tested or ancient techniques. From talking to a lot of people about climate change, have you gotten a sense of whether people respond better to maybe a positive message or a negative message, and how thinking more personally about it makes a difference?
I think it's actually the fact that divination is a personalized story. Since you are the querent and you are starting the story off with a question, there's an instant level of investment there, and it's tailored to you, and I think that engages people differently. That personalizes it. And sometimes people are
The thing that's personalizes it? Yeah, yes. Yes.
Actually just even looking for affirmation. But they don't want just a pat on the shoulder. They want some sort of external medium. And this comes around to one more third major benefit that I've experienced myself.
Benefit of divination.
Divination as a cultural practice, whether it's connected to a spiritual practice or not, is how it helps us in a non-pharmaceutical way deal with chronic anxiety, like chronic reality-based anxiety. And there are times where I find myself saying lost.
The chronic anxiety of the earth being on fire and everything being complete shit. I mean, I guess.
Loss is going to happen, but it doesn't need to be absolute loss. That even in and of itself helps people make some sense.
Because people think about what that means.
And it helps sort of either step down expectations or get people more on a realistic plane that, okay, it can't be business as usual anymore, but where do we go?
It's been absolutely fantastic. And
part of the problem with climate change is not about making it personal or not, though. It's about that most people can't do anything about it. Because the issue is about politics and policies and about a late-stage, unregulated capitalism, because the majority of the problem is coming from industry. And those things have to be changed through a greater power than any singular person actually has, and any power that we even have in what we do collectively, except for things like protests. So, like, dealing with reality helps deal with anxiety about reality. Yeah, I mean, organizing your thoughts, and if you use a tarot deck to help you do that, sure. But, I mean, and having somebody that can help talk you through it, sure, yes, yeah, but, like, to try to...
You've opened the eyes of a scientist.
Okay. Alright. Yes. This was the Harvard one, but I like that the Harvard one also gets the climate change tag. But I think this is what we just ended up watching, so that's cool. Online tarot reading. Choose up to 10 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Current influences. Oh, hold on. There we go. Your present position. This card reveals influences that show the general direction of the reading. You have some hard work ahead of you. It may be resolved quickly, but the Chariot is a powerful card, and the labor you are undertaking will probably trend towards the long and difficult. You will quite possibly experience rough roads, long uphill slopes, dead ends, and painful setbacks. A good outcome is only assured if the card is upright, but do not let yourself lose hope. The card... Is it upside down? I don't know which side is up. Blah, 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 blah. Key interpretations. Next card. Obstacles. Your immediate influence. If you are involved in any work regarding creative inspiration or craftsmanship, the 8 of Pentacles is a very positive card. This is especially true if you're using skills you are trying to master. This is likely to be a hobby has become primary work, unlike the most... That doesn't fucking suit me at all. Past foundation, symbolic of life... Wheel of Fortune, symbolic of life's function, of life cycles. The Wheel of Fortune speaks to good beginnings. Most likely you will find events foretold to be positive. Oh, wow. I've just got like a whole bunch of positive cards in a row. What is it? Page of Cups. The Page of Cups that refers to you in your spread suggests an introspective nature inclined towards art and possessing a kind heart. The Tarot deck thinks I'm a nice guy. You might let credit you deserve pass you by out of shyness. The card may also be indicative of someone likely overlooked in your own life who is in a position to aid you in the pursuit of a specific goal. Although somewhat dependent on the position in your spread, the page is generally the bearer of good news. The World. The World is an indicator of major and inexorable change of tectonic birth. This change represents a change for you to bring about a desired end to the old and a good beginning to the new. The Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is a maverick card, and it may be associated with you if you are prone to spontaneity or shifting your positions quickly. This may lead to some to see you as capricious, but most will enjoy your energy. The Quarrant, you. The Magician. The Magician generally associated with intelligent and skillful communicators. Aw, shucks. His presence in your spread indicates a level of confidence and drive which allows you to translate ideas into action. Okay, friends and family. Another card, 7 of Swords. Another card which indicates forces opposing you. Oh no, I'm being sabotaged deliberately. Okay. Hopes and fears and ideals. Temperance. An optimistic card. Temperance encourages you to find balance in your life and approach problems with a calm demeanor. Damn, I got a pretty good reading, guys. I think I did pretty good. No? Alright, well, here, if you want to do your own reading, here you go. Tarot cards, the history, origin, and uses. And the link is broken. Alright. So the next one is Tessography. Is that the last one? It might be the last one. It is! Alright, so we're going to take a quick break because we have been live for 2 hours and we haven't taken our 5 minutes yet. So we're going to take a quick break. And then I'll be back. So I'm going to pull up the clock that I have somewhere here. There we go. And we will be back in a couple minutes. I'm coming. Hold on a second. Hi. I got a cookie. And we're gonna turn that down. Alright, the last one we're doing is tasseography. Hey Ash, Scott, how you doing? Still occasionally have anxiety about dreams about going back to college. I'm only there because I'm told I should be, and I pay no attention and don't know what the fuck is going on, then I feel dumb as fuck. Yeah. Yeah, that about sums up my college and university experience. That seems pretty accurate to me. Tasseography. Okay, so one of the things that you might notice is I don't know what it's been so long since I've been at school or anything that I don't know what notes I actually need to take from this. And so, because I don't know what the information, I don't totally understand exactly what it is that it's trying to teach me outside of like general knowledge. So you'll notice that my notes might seem sparse. If you think there's something that I should make a note of, let me know. I'll definitely like make sure to note extra stuff and things. But like, again, this is just the this is just the table of contents, so we'll see. Ahoy, hello, welcome. You got us on the last one here. Tasseography. How to seek a prediction. Is the music okay? Is that, yeah, it should be fine. How to seek prediction. Find an expert interpreter of patterns formed in purposefully initiative random process that imprints patterns on their remains. So this is random but human initiated. Equipments, random remains of natural process, for example, leftover coffee sediment in the bottom of a cup of a thick coffee. Personnel, expert reader of special kinds of patterns, either professional or amateur. Tasseography is the name given to the set of divination methods that utilize interpretation of random patterns found in coffee remains, wine sediments, tea leaves, and molten substances like wax and lead. One of the most widely practiced forms of tasseography surviving the test of time is Turkish coffee reading, widely practiced in the Balkans and Turkey. Upon drinking Turkish coffee over a nice, intimate conversation, fortunes are told by human interpreters based on the pattern found in the leftover coffee sediment in the cup. Turkish coffee readings serve as a rather social purpose in today's society. Assumed to have descended from the palaces of the Ottoman sultans, many adults take elongated breaks in the evening and on weekends for 2 to 3 hours to have a heartfelt conversation by a ritual of coffee tasseography. I mean, that's cool. The diviner utilizes the information acquired throughout the preceding conversation to develop predictions about the current state of one's life and one's future. So yeah, it's cold reading with extra with a more intimate than just somebody off the street. The coffee is drunk from only one side of the cup as the querent chats with the diviner. When only sediments are left, the cup is turned over onto the saucer and turned 3 times clockwise while making a wish. The querent, wishing to hear about his or her romantic life, puts a ring on top of the overturned cup, and one more interested in financial futures puts a coin on top of the cup instead. As sediment dries out, they slowly form shapes in the cup and on the saucer that gets interpreted as representing real-life concepts and objects like eagles, mountains, the number 6, or the letter B. Huh. Chesh becoming a T channel. The diviner's interpretation of the shapes, tasiography, is in the sentiment form the backbone of the reading, and they are mostly utilized to reassure the person whose fortune is being told that a certain portion of their wishes will come true immediately, and some will only come true if they overcome certain challenges. The general rule of thumb for diviners is to never deliver only good or bad fortunes to avoid making the person too happy or too sad. So it's bullshit. Once all of the shapes and in the cup are interpreted, it's time to interpret the shapes on the saucer, which generally is believed to hold information about whether the wish made initially will come true or not. The divination is only over after the querent goes and washes their own cup while thinking of the wish they made intensely. Cold reading plus pareidolia? Yeah. Whether performed by childhood friends or professional fortune tellers, coffee tasiography is a popular way to de-stress and socialize in modern Turkey. That to me is cool. That's fine. Where friends can, because like everybody participating kind of knows it's bullshit. Everybody's just like, we just do this as an excuse to hang out, have a good time, and chat about shit. Friends can catch up on each other's lives and hear about each other's aspirations and worries in a cordial setting. Most importantly, drinking coffee and the act of interpreting the coffee grounds ultimately act as facilitators to the rarely encountered genuine process of building intimate emotional bonds. Timeline. Yeah, we didn't get a timeline for tarot, which is kind of interesting. I'm gonna take human initiated out of this and just be like, it's just random and human. Oh, get out of here. Tasiography in the form of reading Turkish coffee grounds started around 1500 CE and continue. So it's relatively new. Comparatively. Oh. Continues to be a popular form of divination. So, I'm not crazy. They definitely spelled continues wrong. Oops. You and Monty need to do a reading tea leaf stream. That would be fun. We could definitely do that. Didn't the nerdy dude provide a timeline? He might have. We can go back and look. Actually, let me double check, because, like, oh no, there was a timeline. Never mind, I'm crazy. No, never mind, I was wrong. There was definitely a timeline. It's 1600 CE. So tea leaf reading is a little bit younger than tarot, by the looks of it. All right, meet the expert. The Diviner's Guide expert on tasiography is Cthulhu? I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Who is a student at Harvard College. He's originally from Azerbaijan, but he moved to Turkey when he was a child. In Turkey, he worked in a coffee shop during the summers doing coffee cup divination readings. He's fluent in 5 languages, and he's studying government and anthropology at Harvard, and he worked on PredictionX as a Radcliffe Research Fellow. This is the first person that's been a student and not like a definitive professional expert on the topic. Could do a tea reading, tea coffee streams, and it would still be more informative than the non sequitur show. Yeah, sadly. At least it would be more fun, at the very least, for sure. Sorry, let me just zoom this in for you guys. I like that it says traditional music playing. No, that doesn't tell us about, like, where or what, but, you know, it's fine.
First, I should add water. Measure it.
Sorry, I'm just gonna turn this up.
First, I should add water to measure it. Başka? Çünkü sert kahve ya, öyle yemek yemeden içilmez yani.
Kahve
Böyle-
tüketimimiz azaldı mı acaba?
Vay.
Vay.
Tamam.
Did he just say way? Is that... Did I hear that right?
Şimdi çöpü var mı seninkinin?
I was born in Baku, Azerbaijan. My parents are from a small tribe in Azerbaijan called Mountain Jews.
Azerbaijan.
And they immigrated when I was 4 from Azerbaijan to Turkey. So for the biggest chunk of my life, I grew up in Istanbul, Turkey. And had a great time, learned a lot about Turkish culture. I wanted to work over summer. And one of the best kind of work opportunities for people my age who speak some kind of English was to work as a fortune teller for the tourists.
Oh, can we have some coffee?
Yes,
Oh,
let's
okay.
start.
Yeah.
So
okay.
let's,
Yeah.
It's good,
Oh, it's
right?
delicious. Yeah.
It's great.
How do we do this?
Okay, so first we're going to take the coffee cup.
Okay.
And then we're going to cover it with the saucer.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. And then with your thumb at the bottom, and then your index finger and middle finger on the top.
Okay, like this?
Now, yes. And now you're going to make a wish that you're not going to tell us.
Okay.
And keep about that wish and how much you want this wish to happen
Okay.
in real life.
Okay.
And while doing it, turn 3 times clockwise.
Okay.
Okay? And then now we're going to very quickly turn it outwards and put it, the saucer, on the table.
Okay. Yep.
And while we're doing this, I'm going to say a Turkish phrase
Okay.
that basically says, whatever is my situation, let that appear in the cup.
Okay.
Okay. Neyse halim çıksın falim. Okay. Great. Now we're going to let it cold a little bit. But
Okay.
before we do that, would you mind putting your ring or a coin? A ring indicates that you want to hear more about personal relationships, romantic relationships, friends, love, sort of things. A coin indicates you want to know more about your professional goals, money, bank accounts.
Let's go personal.
Okay.
Okay.
So
put the
just
coin,
put it on the...
Put it on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we believe that the energy of the ring and what the ring stands for is
Okay.
going to actually influence what is going to be seen in the cup. It's not only about the future, it's also about what's present and the past.
I mean, I guess theoretically the weight of putting something on top of it is going to change the direction and flow of the sediment, right? Like, theoretically that would, even if the change is really slight, there would be some influence, presumably. Not that it would be, like, predictable or measurable in any, like, real capacity, but it would change it, I would imagine.
Past,
Okay.
which also nurtures our knowledge of what is future going to be, right?
Right.
We'll wait a little bit until it dries. The fortune teller, obviously, like all the types of other fortune telling, I think a lot of them, you try to read your customer in a way. So like you first, what happens, what my instructions in the cafe was the tourist would come, I would ask tourists a bunch of introductory questions, try to understand whether this person is rich or poor, or married or single, where is this person from, and kind of understand what are the worries in this person's mind. And after you drink the coffee and start interpreting the coffee, you kind of project the things you've learned about this person into the coffee cup.
Cold reading.
and pretend that it's the coffee cup that's telling you all those things that you have learned before.
Yeah.
So you really use your interpretation skills and ways. It's almost like a clinical psychology practice where you are trying to bring, without giving like direct...
I think bringing more of these like divination traditions into psychology might be a really good idea. I don't mean like to lie and pretend that the coffee cup is telling you anything, but the idea of sitting and talking over coffee as like just a more relaxing scenario instead of like a clinical scenario that can stress people out is a good idea. Or using the tarot deck in that way, or the bones, or like anything like that is like, it gives a sense of like companionship and a sort of a safe space to kind of wish and talk and think.
Advice to the individuals, you're trying to lead them to come to advice they want to hear by themselves and they want to do. So I think some of the fortune tellers would really approach their work from that lens. But we also used to have a booklet, and the booklet basically was, this was a short, like maybe 10, 15 pages book.
Yeah, because this is like a cafe that he's talking about working at. This is like a commoditized version of what it would be.
But would say like rabbit means this, star means that, I don't know, like a skyscraper means this, etc., etc. So this way, when we interpret the shapes, we have kind of a basis. A lot of people have different ways of looking at the cup inside, because now you're going to see I'm going to divide the cup in different parts, and different parts for me is going to mean different things. Okay. So I'll put my cup away.
Okay.
And I will return your ring to you.
Thank you.
The energy is there.
Oh, I feel it.
And I will flip the cup over. Ooh. The way I look at the cup is always...
That's not good. I wouldn't want to ask somebody about my love life and the first thing they do when they look at the reading is, ooh.
Basically, the handle parts.
To be fair, that'd probably be pretty accurate.
This part is about love. This part is about wealth. When I cut from the middle, the left part is about going to be present and the past, and then the right part is going to be about the future.
Okay.
And the very dark bottom is going to be about family.
Some other people at Radcliffe here also had this discussion about whether people really, really want to know the future, or whether they just kind of want to chat about the future. And, you know, maybe what you're saying is right, or maybe there's just a nice opportunity to have a chat. So what was the balance of that kind of goal with people?
I think for our culture, most of the time, it's a social tool to get to know other people and catch up with friends. So when you say, let's have a cup of Turkish coffee, this means that you're committing for like a chunk of an hour and a half, 2 hours, to actually sit down. It's not something on the go. And you sit down and really...
I think that's cool.
...discuss life matters, right? Let's say like you are divorcing from someone, or you are changing your career path, you're relocating from one city to another, or your mother is going through an illness, kind of like important events in your life. And you want those events to be, you know, discussed and mentioned and shared with someone. But you also want to know whether those events are potentially going to come to a positive or a negative outcome. So I think coffee drinking culture really, and the coffee cup fortune telling, really enables that type of a venue for people to alleviate their own worries.
Do you know how old it is, like when it started?
Yes, so we know, according to historical records of the Ottoman Empire, that it's around 16th century when the Ottoman Sultan for the first time kind of started having this. What we call today the Turkish coffee actually comes from Yemen. And it was imported in the Ottoman times when basically it was a part of Ottoman Empire and came all the way to the Sultan, and Sultan loved the taste of it. And we know that some of the people were brought from the city, from Istanbul at the time, to come to the Sultan and give his fortune from looking at the cup. And kind of that's how it spread to the elite, local elite of the Ottoman Empire at the time, and from there spread onwards to all the region. I see a volcano.
A volcano? Oh, look at that.
Well, there is a volcano show tonight over on Debate Hub if you're interested, and Dr. Maddie's going to join us.
Really, that looks almost like a pyramid volcano kind of thing.
You see there's some lava coming. Actually, volcano is a very common feature in coffee cup fortune telling.
Really?
There's a mountain and a volcano. Volcano happens when the top is not sharp.
I see.
And a mountain happens when the top is sharp. Mountain means actually there is going to be a challenging path, and at the end there's going to be a lot of relief and a lot of happiness. Volcano means there's a lot of something coming. It's like a volcano eruption. That might mean good things or bad things.
Great.
But mostly volcanoes indicate that there's a lot of energy of some sort that's coming your way. And this volcano gladly has an opening. Do you see that at the end there's an opening?
Definitely, yeah.
So this opening would indicate once again that whether this volcano brings you bad news or good news, whether there's a lot of bad things happening or a lot of good things happening in one moment, it is going to resolve in good.
Okay.
If this was completely closed, which could happen, have happened, if that was completely closed, that would mean that it's just going to be negative results, even if it's a positive volcano.
Oh.
So this would mean nothing to worry. There's going to be a time that's coming in the new future. And we also know that coffee cups cannot tell you more than 40 days.
Oh, really?
So this is in the next 40 days.
Is that to ensure the return of the patron to the coffee cup fortune teller?
It means that
Got
I want to see my friend again.
Got it. Okay.
In
Got it.
no more than 40 days. When I was growing up and my mom was working and I was like, I don't know, 9 years old, 10 years old, and I didn't want to stay alone, I would go with my mom to the work and see all these women doing these different types of like fortune telling and prediction systems, according to the cycles, lunar cycles, or astrology, about what's going to happen in certain Turkish people's lives.
Right. And that was a big part of the local culture.
Yeah, it was a big part of the local culture, and I think there's definitely certain individuals who choose to not engage in it, and there's certain individuals who choose to believe in it a lot. In Azeri, we have a phrase that says, don't ever believe into fortune telling fully, but never stay without fortune telling. So you need to like do it a little bit, but not too much. If you see, there's a bunch of towers actually. This could be an Eiffel Tower.
I am going on the Eiffel Tower tour. I've never been to France many times, and I've never gone up on the Eiffel Tower.
And the Eiffel Tower is, oh my god, the Eiffel Tower
looks exactly like the Eiffel
Tower.
Tower.
It does exactly look like the Eiffel Tower.
Can you turn that so that we can see a picture
And
of
the Eiffel Tower is in the romantic side.
It looks that looks exactly like the Eiffel Tower, does it? Really? Are we doing that? Is that what we're doing? I don't think so. That may as well be like a communications stick.
Oh.
Like the relationship, friendship, relationship side. It is. It might be a city of romance. So the main situation of where I see coffee being drank is like the middle-aged population, because they have the biggest worries, I think, in their lives.
Worries.
About money, about love, about marriage, about different things.
Yeah.
So they usually see this as a tool that they can believe in. They still consume Turkish coffee a lot. A lot of times the people who are going to do it are the people who have the time to be able to commit 2 hours to a friend and sit down and...
Well, you were also saying something about people don't drink the coffee for the caffeine. Is that what you said before?
Yeah, totally. I think
it's a purely social event.
100%. No one would drink Turkish coffee because I want to stay awake that night, which I feel like people in the States and Harvard specifically would do it like to be like, oh, I need to waken up today.
Does it have a lot of caffeine?
It has a lot of caffeine.
Out later.
It has a lot of caffeine. And I think maybe...
Am I gonna find out later? Yes. I'm sorry, lady. You're gonna be jazzed up for the next 2 days.
Maybe some people would find it offensive if you drank this coffee in a rush to just keep yourself awakened. Because it is an offense to the tradition of drinking this coffee and making this coffee. And as we saw earlier, it takes time.
Yeah, there's like a whole tradition, and like same with tea, right? There's so many like different tea and coffee traditions depending on like where you live in the world and what kind of tea you're drinking, and like tea ceremonies and like all kinds of stuff.
Time to make this coffee. It's not an instant process, and you really need to spend time. And no life is going to go completely horrendous. And no life is going to go without any problem. So it's important to highlight
challenge accepted.
Opportunities of growth and opportunities of concern. And really put attention to certain letters and certain characters and see whether those letters and those people and those types of concepts appear in your life.
Well, I completely get it now.
Not
gets stronger on the bottom.
Yeah.
I think that's the end of the video. Very cool, very interesting. So we've got, let's just adjust this real quick. There we go. Cov Coffee Cup Fortune Reading, which is a daily horoscope app. I'm not gonna share you guys that one. You guys can look that up if you want. Description of the shapes of found in coffee cup readings from Coffee Cup Readings Online. Some of these resources are kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Some of these websites take forever to load too. There we go. Psychic Deniz. So this one will have like all the descriptions of like the saucer to symbolize the saucer generally talk about the person's love and home life, bottom, middle, tops. So that's like discussing like the way you divide the cup. And then there's like eye, house, circle, tree, gate, crown. So if you're interested in like actually doing the readings or actually wanting to know how to interpret the cup, there is the link and you can check that out. And you know what that means? We are now done the table of contents. So we're going to stop there today. I know we were a little bit shorter than normal. Normally we'd go on for a couple hours, but now we're going to move into the introduction. So, and I'd like to start that off on its own. So we will be back next week, starting on Tuesday. So Tuesday we will be back to do the introduction, and you know, it's not. I'm gonna hit. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. They've got like a lot of little video seminar things in here, so it's gonna be pretty cool. So I look forward to it. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe and all that shit. Congratulations to us to reaching 4K. Let's fucking go. And if you're interested, again, you can find the link to this course itself down below. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is like make an account and you can sign up to whatever course you want. And it's not like you're gonna get punished if you don't do it. So if you want to follow along or you want to do it yourself or anything like that, feel free, the link is down below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm gonna get on out of here. I will be live later with the Volcano Show with Maddie and Landon and probably Manya, provided her internet is back by then. It should be, according to her, I believe. Unless I got the time wrong, which I might. Time zones are kind of wacky. But that'll be at 11 p.m. on Debate Hub. Maddie is also going live on Top Hats Off, testing out one of her game things that she's set up. So go ahead and check that out. And then after that, we'll be live. And then next week we got Dumbfuck Friday, the pub, on Debate Hub, and I'll be on Low Energy Vids on Wednesday. So that's it for me. I'm gonna get out of here, and I will see you on Monday. Boop. Have a good day, everybody, and have a good weekend. Bye!